Okay, name a more iconic duo, the NBA offseason, and debates of who is a better player. Over the last few days, I've seen a lot of people arguing wildly on Twitter, or X, over a simple question. The $1 million question is, are you Team Kobe or Team Duncan? Who was really better?
Duncan looks it over. Oh, shot that. Oh, it almost looked like he passed.
We all know about Kobe's greatness. He's the idol of an entire generation, a generation that grew up watching basketball after Michael Jordan's retirement and before the explosion of LeBron James. But Tim Duncan is one of the most curious cases there is. He is a tremendously polarizing player. There are people who believe he's overrated and others who believe he is criminally underrated. So today, let's try to answer that $1 million question. How good was Tim Duncan actually? It's very hard to find precedents for something like this. When the Spurs drafted Tim Duncan with the first pick in the 1999 draft, the franchise was not going through its best times. San Antonio had always been a storied franchise. In fact, the 1996-97 season was the fourth time in 21 years that San Antonio had failed to qualify for the NBA playoffs. However, David Robinson's injury caused the Spurs to get only 20 wins during that regular season. But what do I mean by no precedence? Well, after drafting Tim Duncan, San Antonio went from being the second worst team in the entire Western Conference, second only to the newborn Vancouver Grizzlies, who had just become part of the league's new expansion, to one of the best in the entire NBA. They went from 20 wins to 56 in just 1 year. And at that point in history, that 36-win turnaround was the greatest in league history. The only team that has so far been able to surpass it was the Boston Celtics of Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett in the 2007-2008 season. Tim Duncan's impact in his early career was surreal. The 21-year-old forward was all San Antonio needed to establish a dynasty that the franchise believed could last a decade. But in the end, it lasted longer. Let me explain. From his rookie season, Duncan immediately entered the 2010 club, the club that only elite big men who have been able to average at least 20 points and 10 rebounds during an entire regular season get into. Timmy, with averages of 21.1 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 2.7 assists per game, not only got in, but also did it with incredible efficiency. In his rookie season, Duncan scored 55% of the shots he took from the field, and that meant that in terms of numbers, Duncan's rookie season was also unprecedented from a statistical standpoint. In fact, since Tim achieved it, only one player has done it, Blake Griffin with the Clippers in the 2010-2011 season. Duncan finished 5th in the MVP race as a rookie, obviously being voted Rookie of the Year, but he also finished 5th in the Defensive Player of the Year race, was selected to the All-Defense second team, was selected to the All-NBA first team, and was selected to the All-Star game. People wondered if this was his real ability and could maintain the same output consistently, or if he was just a one-hit wonder. Well, Tim answered that question quickly, winning the 1999 ring and getting his first Finals MVP. And the stats he achieved in his first 2 seasons in the NBA, he kept it for years and years. Tim Duncan finished in the top 10 for MVP from 1997 to 2008, without exception. Both he and the Spurs ran like clockwork, posting one of the best records in the NBA year after year. But there was a 4-year run that was truly insane. From the 2000-2001 season through the 2003-2004 season, Tim had 2 regular season MVPs and 2 second-place finishes, thanks to averages of 23.3 points, 12.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and 2.6 blocks per night. At that time, absolutely no one could say that the Virgin Islands forward was not the best player in the world. His defensive performance also allowed him to be selected in the all-defensive first team during those 4 seasons, leading the Spurs to become one of the best defenses in the league with Tim as the defensive anchor. Most importantly, this new version of Duncan helped the Spurs win the 2003 championship ring, the second of his career. In addition, San Antonio went on to win 2 more NBA championships in 2005 and 2007, establishing a dynasty capable of winning 3 rings in just 5 seasons, a feat that has only been matched by the Golden State Warriors since the Spurs did it. However, it really looked like Timmy's decline was about to happen. In the 2010-2011 season, Tim was 34 years old, an age when many stars in the league begin to show their regression. That season, the forward only averaged 13.4 points and 8.9 rebounds per game, a far cry from what Duncan was capable of in his prime. Not only him, but the old core of the San Antonio Spurs was beginning to show signs of severe deterioration, until one player came along and changed everything. Kawhi Leonard not only led the team to a new era of brilliance, he also managed to bring back the best version of Tim Duncan when his age should have not allowed it. Timmy had a second era in his career. In the 2012-2013 season, he returned to an average 18 points and 10 rebounds per game, getting also a mark very close to his career high in blocks with 2.7 per game. He looked faster, more active, more motivated, as if Kawhi's desire to succeed in the NBA was rubbing off on him. And this second prime of Tim, especially on the defensive side, is something that also has very few precedents. That resurgence in a league that was completely changing as the days went by also brought its reward. The incredible 2014 ring, a perfect way to end a spectacular career of one of the best players in the history of basketball. Of course, all of this was also brought about by the legend who led the team from the bench. Greg Popovich is unique, not only because of his mentality and sense of humor, which makes him one of the most charismatic coaches in the league, he is also a basketball genius. There is a reason why Tim Duncan only had one coach during his 19-year career, and that coach was the perfect complement to a roster that, once again, achieved unprecedented merit.
Isolation for Duncan against Jefferson. Great show and go. Oh!
The NBA is a league in which there is a magic number, a number of wins that if you manage to reach during the regular season usually means that your team is one of the ones that will fight for the title. And this number is 50. The most normal thing is that if you finish with a record of 50 wins, you finish in the first 4 positions of the conference. Well, do you know how many seasons the Spurs got at least that record? 18 times consecutively. From 2000 through 2017, the Spurs had at least 50 wins in each and every season. And it's not like they got 50 and stopped. During this 18-year streak, the Spurs averaged 58 wins per regular season. Or what is the same? A winning percentage of 70% for almost 2 decades. Try to internalize the insanity that I am talking about. In fact, the Spurs were offensively better than the league average in 16 of those 18 seasons and were defensively better than the league average in all of them. Yes, all 18. Of course, this was partly the responsibility of one of the best players in history, Tim Duncan, a two-way player who, as I like to say, is unprecedented. Is the Spur legend better than Kobe? It's hard to answer that question. Both have 5 championship rings. Both are the best players of historical franchises, and both are in a historical top 10 of players. I don't think many people doubt that.
Duncan. He got fouled and one.
However, while Kobe is the idol of a generation because of his style, or because of his aura, as Gen Z says, Timmy has remained a player somewhat outdated. Yeah, his style of play was never particularly attractive. We all remember his simple hooks, his bank shots, his spectacular touch from the mid-range, and his ability to get on the nerves of other team stars without even opening his mouth. There is a reason why his nickname was the Big Fundamental. But we don't remember his humbleness, his flashiness, or his creativity. And perhaps fate did not want Duncan to be remembered as one of the most influential players in basketball history. Now, anyone who says that the forward is not one of the 10 best players in basketball history is simply a liar. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down the biggest stories and trends in the NBA, and you don't want to miss our future videos. And hey, while you're at it, smash that bell icon too. That way you'll be notified as soon as we drop new content. Trust me, with how quickly things change in the NBA, you'll want to stay up to date.